You're probably thinking, bruh, this is a puddle. No way there are fish hanging out here. Well, stick around and you'll see just how many fish live here and learn how to catch them at your own local creek. Starting off with everything you need. For your rod and reel, I highly recommend an ultralight setup. There is no better place than a creek to fish ultralight. The fish hit harder and it's gonna be a lot more fun for you. And regardless of whether you have an ultralight setup, make sure you have a short rod. You don't want to bring in your 9-foot surf cast rod to a tiny creek like this. It'll get caught up in the bushes, the trees. It's just not gonna be fun because you're gonna have limited space to cast from. This rod right here is a $20 Shakespeare Micro Series rod. It's a 5-foot rod that comes in 2 pieces. This is what I would consider to be the de facto entry-level ultralight rod, and it is perfect for creek fishing. And for the reel, I have a Bass Pro Shops Microlight Elite reel. You can get for about $50. The bail arm is a little weak, it's a little stiff here, but honestly, it gets the job done. You don't need to spend a crazy amount of money on your rod and reel setup, especially for something like this. Basically, any rod and reel will do, but again, make sure it's a short rod. And while you can cast from the shore, odds are there won't be too many spots to cast from. So I highly recommend doing wet wading, where you just wade in the creek. You don't need waders, anything fancy schmancy. If you do want to wet wade like I am today, you're gonna need something for your feet. You could use like an old pair of sneakers or any old pair of shoes will work, but just something to protect your feet while you're wading through the water. These are some Discovery Channel Shark Week knockoff Crocs from Walmart. I got for like 10, 15 bucks, and they do me just fine. I also pair them with these neoprene socks. That way I don't get any blisters or anything while I'm wading through the water. And these two together make a very good combo for creek fishing. One more thing I want to go over, at least here in New England, the itchy plants, that's poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, they are rampant in the creeks around here. I've gotten poison ivy before, it is not fun, but there's a way around it. This right here is called a barrier cream, and it's something you put on before you head out. It does a very good job at keeping the oils from the poison ivy and the poison oak away from your skin. I am so glad I discovered it this year because it has been a big help. It is worth knowing that it can come off in the water, but if you reapply it after you get out of the water, you'll be just fine. With all that said, let's get to fishing. Because we're ultralight fishing, the smallest lures are gonna work the best. You're gonna open yourself up to as many fish as possible here. A lot of them are gonna be small, but you'd be surprised. For a long time, this creek held my PB chain pickerel. So the first lure I would recommend in a creek like this is a small inline spinner. It can be whatever brand you want, but this one is a 1/16 ounce rooster tail. Just like fishing anywhere else, when you're fishing in a creek, you wanna look for structure. I think fishing in a creek is actually easier because there tends to be a lot more structure for fish to hang out around. I see a few fall fish over there, so I'm gonna just cast in that direction near all that brush. And we'll see if I can get something. Oh, fish on, instantly. All right. Oh, sweet. There you go, first cast. And we got a beautiful fall fish. Beautiful, beautiful fish. I find these fish are even easier to catch in creeks because often no one else is fishing them. Thanks for the fun, buddy. Let's get you back in the water. But you could see that was literally the first cast. The lure was barely in the water and I hit a fall fish. Let's see if we can catch another one. Oop, just had a hit. Oh, fish on, fish on. Looks like we got another one. Sweet. So this one's a little smaller, but another beautiful fall fish. See you later. All right, so now it's time to get our feet a little wet. I'm recording this on the last day of September, so the water is cold, but it won't stop me from catching fish. So while you wade through, you're gonna be scaring the fish around you. So make sure that you're casting in the direction that you're walking. And by the time you turn around, you can do the same thing on the way back. And something you gotta remember when you're wading through a creek like this is just to watch your step. You know, a lot of these rocks are loose and you can fall down. I see a tire right there. Lots of debris can still get in the way, even with protection on your feet. Also, you might be able to see here how low the branches are. This is why you want a short rod for creek fishing. If I had anything larger, I'd be getting it stuck left and right. Now, I did mention there's one more lure that I would try here, and it's the trout magnet. These are really tiny little soft plastics. I like using the white color, but you can use whatever suits your fancy. Also, if you don't have a trout magnet in the store nearby, there's a chance you got one of these. This is a Berkeley atomic tube, and they're very similar. They're almost the same exact lure, so either of these will work just fine. When I fish with a trout magnet, I find that I have the most success when I just cast it out and I just let it sit for a little bit. Kind of like with an earthworm. Every now and then I might jerk it a little bit, but often I get the most bites just from letting it sit. You can also cast it out and do a very slow, steady retrieve. And when you're doing that, I like to give it a few little jerks, just a few little taps on the rod, just to give it a little bit of life while it's being reeled in.
Fish!
Ooh, fish on! Fish on! Would you look at that? It's another little full fish. I love catching these little guys. So yeah, that one was just caught by casting the trout magnet out and letting it sit. See you later, buddy. So this is the point in the video where I wanted to show off the diversity in little creeks like this, but to my surprise, I was only able to catch fall fish on this trip. In the past though, I've been able to catch largemouth bass, bluegill, and chain pickerel at this spot. Downstream from this spot, I've caught my first common shiner and redfin pickerel as well, and these fish only scratch the surface of how many species you can catch along creeks. Not to forget the other forms of wildlife you'll discover along the way. All sorts of crustaceans, mammals, and birds also make this place their home, and are just waiting to be discovered at a creek near you. With that said, I hope you crush it out there fishing your local creek. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.